The wind was going to be coming out pretty much tailwind for the beginning, and then it's going to be headwind, crosswind the entire way back. You're going to have 15 to 18 mile-an-hour winds, and so that's going to make it a little bit difficult for a lot of the riders coming back in.
A new part of the course added at mile 40, where there was about 10 or 15 miles of treacherous terrain. Some people were calling this area mountain bike terrain.
Good morning and welcome to Emporia, Kansas. I'm standing at the 44-mile marker on Divide Road, and it is this stretch, mile 44, pretty much to the first aid station at around mile 68, where the road gets really rough. I got the lead pack coming in right behind me. I'm going to step out of frame and take a look at what damage has been done thus far. Let's see who these riders are. So at this point, we have seen a stream of riders come past me, and you know, they were coming fast. I can't say this definitively, but I only saw one woman. I did not see a woman in the lead pack. It looked like it had been shredded down to about 20 riders. Rider number 2164, that is the only woman rider that I saw thus far in that lead group of men. I did see Keel Reinen. Interestingly, Colin Strickland shouted out to me. He was just tacking himself back onto the back of the lead group. He mentioned that there were some muddy ruts back there, and as you look behind me, I'm seeing riders having problems all over the course. I just saw multiple riders pulling off 4 flats. As I've said, get it, Amity! And that was Amity Rockwell, who just went past. So, you know, long day ahead. The women's race certainly is far from being decided, but the women right now are just completely strewn all over the road. For right now, though, I saw one rider looking very strong. That was Robin Carpenter of Rally Cycling. He was on the front doing work at the head of the lead group. People have had struggles in the first 40 miles of the race. One person who was caught out, Eddie Anderson of Alpecin Phoenix, he just came by about a minute ago. He is, looking at probably close to 10 minutes to the lead group. We are in the first checkpoint, a little shy of 70 miles into the Unbound Gravel. I am going to clarify a point I made earlier about 20 miles ago. I believe the lead woman that I saw, rider number 2164, is Flavia Oliveira. She is a Brazilian rider, actually a top 10 finisher in the Rio de Janeiro Olympic Games. So this is a rider that nobody was talking about prior to the Unbound Gravel, and she looked like she had a sizable lead in the women's field. The riders are probably going to be coming in here right over my shoulder in about 10 minutes, so we're going to see if Flavia Oliveira is still holding off the lead women. Remember, the lead women were just scattered all over the field. In the men's field, we have gotten confirmation from some friends over here in the Colin Strickland camp that apparently Quinn Simmons has crashed out. Also, Payson McElveen, the Orange Seal athlete, he had a flat early on. As we were packing up, we saw him about 15 minutes off the pace, so Payson has a long day ahead of him chasing. First rider in is Dennis Van Winden, followed closely by Colin Strickland.
All right, everything's good. In front of the last end.
This is Mateo Jorgensen. It is 9:18. Mateo Jorgensen, the Movistar rider, fresh off the Giro d'Italia. He is looking like he's probably about 5 minutes off the pace of the leaders. And this may be these are the lead women, excuse me, these are the lead women coming through. I believe that might be Flavia Oliveira, the Cinch Cycling women. The Cinch Cycling women right here are the 2 women leaders getting serviced by their team mechanic. These are riders that nobody was talking about prior to the start of the race, and they are taking Unbound Gravel by storm. Okay, I have eyes on our third place woman. It looks like Emily Newsom of Team Tibco. She was behind the pace of mile 44. She's made a charge. Emily is just coming through. She has not been serviced, and she is looking for her pit crew. It is, what time is it? It is 9:28. It is 9:28, so Emily Newsom is 4 minutes behind our two cinch women leaders.
They've already gone through, the 200 milers have already gone through Alma, and there's 2 checkpoints, Alma and Council Grove, and then there's a neutral water checkpoint right in between there. Little Egypt, very sketchy, steep downhills. We talked about the washes, a lot of silts. It can be dangerous.
I am standing here at mile 118 of Unbound Gravel. This is Old Stone Fort Road. If you've been paying attention to the FloBikes coverage, you will know that this is a site where there's a double creek crossing. The one right behind me is the trickiest. I came out here and rode this a couple days ago. I will say it has become a lot more mellow. There is both less water out here, and this road has definitely been driven a lot by people scoping out the course. So the banks of this creek have been pushed down. It is a lot easier to ride. Still, we're going to be stationed here looking at how the leaders of the 200-mile race tackle both this first creek crossing and then this really, really muddy, rutted stretch. I see Lawrence Tendam, that is Lawrence Tendam leading into the creek, followed by Colin Strickland. I see Ted King and I see Pete Stetna, and I do not have a number on this rider. Well, that is your lead group of 5 who just charged through this, made that creek crossing look like child's play, got through the mud. Lawrence Tendam and Colin Strickland really spurring this group on. This is our 5th place rider coming through, over 5 minutes behind the leading 5. And is this Eric Marcotte? It looks like an Eric Marcotte. The third group, this is a chasing group. Eric Marcotte is in the middle. We have, I think that is Dennis Van Winden maybe in the orange. I cannot quite tell. Taking it safe through the creek crossing. This is our riders in 7th, 8th, 9th, and 10th position. So my rough, imperfect timekeeping puts this group racing for 11th place at 15 minutes behind the leading group of 5, and it is being spurred on by American out of Virginia, Eddie Anderson, racing for Alpecin Phoenix, charging through the mud. Eddie is racing for 11th place at the moment with a pretty substantial group of riders. That's Adam Roberge at the back of this group. The race for 17th place is right here coming into the creek. We are about 20 minutes behind the leaders right now for 17th place in the overall 200-mile race. And this is our rider that we are seeing coming down the hill into the creek crossing. He is in 20th place, around about 25, 24 minutes after the lead group. This looks like one of the first bank riders, I believe. 20th place. You can really hear the rocks when the line isn't quite right through that creek bed. And you're really seeing a difference between the top 5 riders, and 20th place at a race like this is a damn good result, but the difference in how they're pedaling and how they're feeling at mile 118 is very evident. These guys are tired and they have got 80 miles left.
There's 2 green jerseys. I'm guessing.
Well, Tendam is in the checker jersey on the right-hand side. Ted King is in the white helmet right behind. Not sure the rider in the front right there. And that doesn't look like Boswell. Boswell is a little bit taller and skinnier, and so I think they're just cruising, waiting for some of the other guys that came through the checkpoint. And they talk about this gravel etiquette, right? A lot of talk about gravel etiquette and how do you play this out. And I think that Strickland may be coming up from behind to be able to catch up to them. And so
you can see Lawrence Tendam just looking over his shoulder, soft pedaling a little bit. As they rolled in, they probably said, okay, guys, this is our final checkpoint. Grab what you need. We'll regroup on the rollout. You can see Peter Stetna there chasing back on. He's got aero bars on his bike. So again, these are our 5 leaders. We're assuming this is Ian Boswell, Ted King, Colin Strickland, as well as Peter Stetna and Lawrence Tendam.
So Peter Stetna is the first rider just off the back of the 3, and then I think that's Strickland coming up. Talking with Boswell, he works full-time for Wahoo. And, you know, and he spends a lot of his time doing, they said he hasn't been really training that much. He's just been riding a little bit. I almost feel like he was playing me. He was just like kind of like lying to me straight up, because you can't be like faking it and be in a group like this with this stronger riders, as you can see them on the front right there.
His first race back was a couple weeks ago at the Rule of 3. It was his first race back since 2019, where he had a very hard crash and suffered his 6th concussion. Had a brain injury, a concussion that changed the course of his career. I don't think we would be talking about him at Unbound if it weren't for that crash, but he kind of reassessed things and decided he loved the bike so much he wanted to keep it in his life, but not take the risk that he was had been taking his whole life in the Pro Tour.
Yeah, it can get kind of crazy, but you're right. He had that concussion in 2019 in April when he was racing with Katusha World Tour team, which is, you know, a big deal. And he hadn't raced since. He had a long time out, as you can see Peter Stetina out on the front. So Boswell, 30 years old, continuing to love the bike and continue to do well. And then Peter Stetina's another one. I mean, you got to give this guy a lot of credit, because he broke his femur. Right now, I'm going to say maybe 5 or 6 years ago. I mean, time flies and you forget about it. But to be able to come back from an injury like that is remarkable. You can see how large the rocks are, the gravel. You know, I talked about it's not like ground up cement. It's not, you know, it's not small. These are pretty good chunks, and you have to be careful when you're cutting from one lane to the other lane, going across that. We're in the Flint Hills. You know, it's known for this area, and it's sharp region. This Flint Hills, you know, it's named for the residual flint that eroded from the bedrock and stretches from Kansas all the way down to Oklahoma, covers a large area. So sharp rocks, big rocks, and that's something they got to be careful of. As it looks like right here, they're coming up. Looking like here if they're going to have a left-hand turn, as Ted King
goes through that turn. That's right. Ted King took that turn in first place, and you can see how tentative they are on these turns. You know, they're looking at the ground, trying to read how much traction there is. Are they going through some loose gravel? At this point of the race, they do not want to have to chase back on because of a crash.
4 riders now separating themselves from one, and that looks like it might. You know, I don't want to take a guess. I want to say who.
I think it's Colin Strickland.
I think it's Strickland also. Yes.
So it looks like the other 4 riders, so that's Boswell, King, Lawrence Tendam, and Peter Stetina have ridden away from the 2019 champion. It looks like Colin Strickland, you know, we don't know if he had a mechanical. We're just coming back to these images, and as you can see, as Colin jumped those ruts, this is a rough double track, so maybe he did have a mechanical, but this is not the view that Colin Strickland is used to. We are, for the first time today, getting live images of the women's leader, and this is Lauren Crescenzo from the Cinch Elite team. This is incredible. If the time splits from earlier are right, she had fallen off her teammate Flavia's wheel and now has come back ridden to the front of the women's field. That is, we're looking at Lauren Crescenzo leading the women's field at Unbound 200. This is second place. To me, this looks like Amity Rockwell, who was first place in 2019. She looks like she's absolutely beaming, smiling as she rolls into Council Grove, takes that corner with ease. You know, Lauren, this is her second time at Unbound Gravel. In 2019, when she was here, she felt great, but crashed and fractured her collarbone 30 miles into the race and had to ride to the first checkpoint. So again, this is Lauren Crescenzo now leading, coming back here with an agenda. And now we're getting images of Peter Stetina riding solo across the plains of Kansas. And I think Peter Stetina has made his move and ridden away. And this is actually Lauren in second wheel here. She's riding with one of the men on course. If she can hold this wheel, this is really good for her. It is, you know, fortunate to be able to have company out there. And and hopefully he kind of came from behind, but hopefully she can hold on.
The unknown is how strong is Lauren de Crescenzo, right? Can she stay out there? Can she keep putting out that power?
And there she is, taking the wind here, leading out whoever this the rider is from the men's field, which is really fabulous. I think she's feeling good.
There's that number 2535 with Elliot Bach out of Boulder, Colorado, doing a fantastic job, keeping Lauren in a very good position. Staying in front. Amity Rockwell, our 2019 winner, is just behind her, but there's a little bit of a gap. And again, we're not going to get that other checkpoint, not for a while. So right now, we're just going to be able to focus here on Lauren. It's the On Your Left as our two-rider express train making their way towards Unbound here in Emporia, Kansas. 200 miles on tap is, looks like I think Ian Boswell and Lawrence Tindam have been able to work together to be able to shed the other three riders that were with them earlier in the day. I mean, you can see, look at like how arrow Lawrence is getting, trying to keep that pace going, forcing Boswell, not forcing, but pulling off, making Boswell do some of the work, which of course is what they need to do. So both of these guys going pretty strong. And it would be interesting, when we be able to talk to the winner to be able to find out a little bit of the conversation of what was taking place when they're coming in 10 miles from the finish line. But both of these guys riding really well together, and they need to continue to do that because the chase group of Stetna and Ted King was about a minute and a half back. We'll have to pay attention once we get to the next checkpoint. Right-hand side of the screen, Lauren de Crescenzo picking up workers all the way along the route right now, and her biggest helper has been Elliot Bach, the pro triathlete, as they have, we talked about the final stretch, these rolling hills, just gradually sapping it out of your legs. It's like squeezing a sponge. Pretty soon, there's not going to be any water left.
Ian Boswell on the front just signaled to Lawrence Tindam, left-hand turn coming up because it's not obvious. In 2017, that's the turn that Allison Tetrick missed and Amanda Nauman rode away. And then Allie chased her down and took the win. Ian Boswell being the gentleman and going for, signaling to Lawrence Tindam, left-hand turn, and Lawrence Tindam coming up alongside, taking a look, riding side by side. You don't see this often at the finish of a road race, Frankie.
Coming down now to the final meters of the Unbound Gravel race.
Ian Boswell doing a pro job here of covering the left-hand side of the road. So he only has to look for Lawrence Tindam to come around the right-hand side. The question is, when will Lawrence make his move? When is Ian thinking that he needs to jump him in order to hold off the win? They're coming just into the final few hundred meters, and there is Lawrence Tindam making his move.
Tindam jumped early to be able to get Boswell to go early and immediately get behind him. He almost fake sprinted to be able to get Boswell to go. Trying to take advantage of the draft. It's Lawrence Tindam now. It's Ian Boswell. It's going to be Ian Boswell holding them off, and it's Ian Boswell taking the win of the Unbound. Unbelievable. The Unbound 200 going to Ian Boswell. I'm thinking that's Ted King right there in the green jersey.
It does
unofficially be third with the white helmet. Oh, they're finishing together.
Peter
Stetna was covered up. So Peter Stetna and Ted King coming in unofficially in third and fourth.
Looks like Ted King let Peter roll through for third place. They shook hands before coming through. Peter Stetna third place. Ted King just finishing his fifth Unbound 200.
I wonder if Lauren is maybe surprising herself a little bit, or if this is expected from her. Or if she expected it from herself is what I'm trying to say.
I think to some degree there was a question mark about her form. She told me that she had had E. coli poisoning 3 weeks ago and was going...
Did she do rule of three?
No, she did not. Different. She was at home, and you can see her right now. She kind of looked at the guys that she was with, asked them, hey, is this what you got right now? Because if so, I think I got to keep going. So we see her in her arrow bars going forward.
Right now, we have live pictures of Lauren de Crescenzo. She has two riders, and one rider, Elliot Bach, has been with her a long time as they have been steadily making their way back towards the finish. How good does a downhill feel like this? Amity actually looks really good the way she's turning those pedals over right now.
She looks really strong, and coming into this race, there was a lot of pressure on her shoulders. We were talking.
For sure, defending champion, yeah, absolutely.
And to take that 2019 title kind of as a lesser known rider.
Amity just really looks strong. I mean, she's just turning the gear over, just plowing through this ride. And so it would be interesting to see as Lauren de Crescenzo on the left-hand side, gradually coming over the top of that climb. And I think the difference was the riders that they were able to kind of like be with in order to get through some of these windy sections as Lauren Crescenzo is making her way towards that finish line.
So we're seeing both of the women leading this race. On the left, we have Lauren Crescenzo, who has now come onto the pavement, taking a right-hand turn. And on the right-hand side of your screen, you'll see Amity Rockwell, second place. Lauren in the aero bars. And it looks like Emporia is not too far away from that camera angle, Frankie. Look at her get out of the saddle there to climb this hill. This is where Lauren's Tendam tried to attack Ian Boswell and realized, I'm not gonna shake Ian. I guess we're going into the finish together. So Lauren Crescenzo coming really close to the finish here in Emporia, out of the saddle, climbing this hill. I'm really impressed.
Lauren Crescenzo right now coming into town. Want to make sure you don't take a wrong turn as right up here. Going to come up here. I think she's going right-hand turn right here. Got to get just tucked in behind those cars, excuse me. And then she's going to be in the final chute, making her way up to downtown Emporia here for the win in Unbound.
She took a turn off course that Allison took back in 2017. Lauren's been out here for 12 hours, 7 minutes, and she's found the chute coming towards the finish. I'm glad she found her way to this finishing chute. Oh my goodness, she's been out in front of this race for at least 50 miles now.
I could totally see everybody missing that turn, and I don't know why they have that turn. It's like you turn onto a bike path. It's a sidewalk. Like, how are you supposed to know that after you've been on the roads and gravels all this time? And if anything, have a good sign there, a volunteer. I mean, to mess up so late in the game after all that would not be worth it, but it seemed to have worked out, and I think I see a smile. I actually think I see a crack of a smile on Lauren's face and a big celebration at the finish line as your Unbound 200 winner, Lauren Crescenzo, takes the win for 2021.
And Amity still holding on to second place for the women. She was here to defend her title that she took in 2019. Looking like she's going to come in for second place here with the women, but anything can happen.
How much did that help you, having someone to ride with during that section of the course?
I mean, everyone I was riding with, I love you all. I mean, it's just, I had the power, but I just conserve, because it's a 12-hour, it's an 11, whatever my time was, it's an 11.5-hour race. So I was conserving as much energy as I could. So I think it helped, but my aero bars also helped. So who knows, was it that? Was it the aero bars? Was it both? It helped, but it was amazing, like having me and her being first and second women. It gave me some extra power going through. I was like, yeah, Flavia, yeah, we got this. We're 1 and 2. Let's work together. And we were trying. She got a mechanical. I had some mechanicals, so that was tough. I mean, there's so much that's unpredictable out there that, I mean, having a teammate, I think, was very emotionally. Helped a lot in that area, emotionally.
Yeah, absolutely.
So real quick, that's Amity just coming across the line in second place. So that's your 2019 winner finishing up in second place, almost 12 minutes behind you, but big effort. And the wind was brutal out there.
It was, yeah.
We're still waiting for our third place finisher, Emily Newsom.
Oh, this could be.
Oh my goodness, Frankie, I think you're right.
Yep.
I think this is our third place finish. Emily Newsom. Fabulous result for Emily here today. She is a mom. She has a 6-year-old daughter. She's been traveling around the world racing her bike. She did a spring campaign in Europe. Was telling us yesterday how relieving it is always to come home, but she knows that her husband has her back. Her in-laws have her back to help take care of her daughter when she's out racing. She'll be excited to take home that third place finish and share that with her husband and her daughter when she goes home to Texas.